We're back, regular viewers. Thank you, everybody, so much for the support. We are approaching 500 subscribers. Super duper excited about that. And I really appreciate everybody's support and the interest that you guys show. Thank you for being encouraging. So this week, we are going to talk about Carolina rigs, right? So Carolina rig, if anybody out there doesn't know, is when you have a weight, and I made up this little weight and bead system here on a little bit of that stainless steel wire that I use, some fluorocarbon, about 3 feet or so, and then something that's really popular is the baby brush hog in a Texas style rig. Okay, June bug baby brush hog, where I'm from, is super popular. And people say that, you know, the Carolina rig, the weight stays on the bottom, and then this kind of like flutters along in space. That's not true. This thing drags along the bottom. Now, it has the ability to come off the bottom, you know, at some point, what have you, but it's going to stay there. So it's a very effective tool. It has caught a ton of bass for a ton of people, and there's nothing wrong with it. So is this like maybe I'm fixing something that's not broken? Could be, but we're just trying a different approach today. So I was like, what if we made a creature bait that actually suspended, floated up off the bottom and stayed there? And then you could stop this and it would just kind of sit there in space in 25 feet of water, and the little taily guys here would be fluttering around and just generally annoying the bass. So hopefully that's something they haven't seen. And in these times of high pressure lakes with high pressure bass, sometimes something they haven't seen is all it takes. Okay, enough talking. So I made this creature bait right here. And this is a big ugly creature bait. This is not suspending. This was a first attempt just to see if it would work. And it does. This is what I am trying to make here. This is the second attempt, and this will kind of give away a little bit more of what we're trying to do here. So in here, because this one didn't fill all the way, is a float and a weedless hook right on it. So this is going to float off the bottom. Okay, so whatever your line length is, it's going to float that far off the bottom, and then as it moves, these little legs are going to swim, and then it's going to sit here in space in 25 feet of water, upsetting the fish. So we have, I've had a couple iterations with the mold to try to get this perfect. You can see this one didn't fill all the way. This kind of arm is about to fall off. So we're going to show you where we're at with this attempt here. We've been working on this mold for a bit now. I don't know who's we. I don't know if I have a mouse in my pocket or whatnot, but I haven't opened this one yet since I tried it again. So we're going to see what we got together. And I want to thank all of my regular viewers who continued to tell me to stop using petroleum jelly as a quick mold release and to use PAM or any kind of cooking spray, non-stick cooking spray. It did work. I was afraid that on the plaster molds, they were going to be too porous and it wouldn't work. Well, I was wrong. You were right. Thank you to everybody who left me that comment to try to use the cooking spray. There were several of them. I tried it. It works. Thank you. That being said, it looks like we've already achieved our goal here of getting this fully surrounded with plastic. It kind of sticks, the hook down here kind of sticks in the mold, but there we go. Okay, so this is ugly. I realize that because this plastic is where the hook slot is, and this just has to be cut away. And I have an extra long sprue here just because I had that lying around when I was trying to make these, and I wanted to just make sure it was functional before I tried to make it without being too far into it. So I don't know what that means. Okay, so we cut that away. Whammo. Now we have a fully encased. Now we could probably make this look prettier. If you put foam down in your mold, generally the stuff that when you buy like a package that comes all packed in foam, like a television set or something like that, that kind of foam doesn't mix well with this plastic. Okay, don't do it. It becomes a bubbly, poppy, explosive, like water in the deep fryer kind of deal. these the bobbers, like these guys here, they can take the heat for a bit. So I tried to use this one twice, and you can kind of see that it did melt a little in there, but all in all, that's still there. So this guy is success. We have this surrounded in the plastic we want. I don't mind that it's this color, you know, that crawfishy in the springtime red that they like to use, red and orange. I think that's going to look great. There's a little bit of flashing that I can trim up here, but I'm pretty excited about this. This was easy to make, and I'm going to show you how I did it right now. First, let's go try and run this in a pool. Looks like my neighbors are home, so I'm going to try to sneak over to their pool and see if I can't show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so we have our traditional Carolina rig here. We have our weight and we have our baby brush hog. So we're going to cast that out, sort of. We're going to cast that out. There we go. And we'll watch the weight go to the bottom. And you can see the lure slowly settle. But it does sit on the bottom. Bring it over here close to the camera. Okay, so there it is on the bottom. Now, what I was concerned about here, or what I've noticed, is that you can put a lot of input into this weight and your bait barely moves. A lot of people will just drag these along the bottom. But again, eventually that bait is going to settle on the bottom. So let's see what a suspending Carolina rig bait looks like. Come on this side. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we give input to the weight, and you can see the little legs kind of dance. And it's sitting above the bottom. If our duck would get out of the way. So you can just have it sit there, suspending however far above the bottom you want. Or when you give the weight some input, those legs will kick and it will swim. So if you have suspended bass in the water column, you can just hold this right in front of their face and just let them think about it. And whatever's going on in the current or anything like that will affect how it moves or floats. And then just a little bit of twitch here. You got much more reaction than when it's just trailing on the bottom behind. And of course, this is, you can make this creature whatever shape you want. This is just what I came up with based on the trash I had laying around the regular shop. There it is, suspending. Just floating there, waiting for a hungry bass to come by or a bass to get upset with it. So here they are side by side. You can see our baby brush hog just laying on the bottom. We give input to the weight. It just kind of jerks and stays along the bottom. A lot of people will just use this as just kind of a slow pull along the bottom. Again, it's going to trail down to the bottom, and it's not floating up, it's just laying on the bottom. Fish, of course, do eat off the bottom, but here's something different. So, cast that out, right there, you can see the difference in there. Here's our suspending bait right next to it. It's up in the water column. Something different for the bass to look at. Thank you. We are back. So I hope you guys like the pool test. I really appreciate. I want to thank my neighbor for letting me sneak in the pool and use it for non-traditional pool functions. So let's show you what we need for this project if you're interested in that. So you can always go to your bucket of bobbers and look for an appropriate sized one. You can make an extra large or a small. These are literally ones that I found laying on the side of the boat ramp and other fishing areas that I've gone to. So, but for you people, because you're so nice to me in all the support and the comments and the subscriptions, I actually went to Academy and spent some money. And I will show you that here, how much these cost here right now. So if the regular editor could roll that wonderful capitalistic footage of me shopping for these parts. All right, so not too much money. These are $1.99. These hooks, the number 5, were the most expensive part of this whole project. But I'm trying to be more like a cooking show and have the stuff prepped. So I have those. Here's my bobber, and here's my hook, okay? These bits come out, and this hook gets inserted into here, like so, because it's already got a nice slit into it, allegedly. Allegedly, it fits right into there. Of course, the one I do on camera doesn't work. How nice. Ain't that the way it always is? Some things will never change. There we go. Okay, so that is what's going to go into our mold. And but to make our mold master, we can't use this hook because our friend Plaster Paris will form around this and we'll never get it out of here. So what we need is a popsicle stick, like that. And I took the hook here and I put it on this here popsicle stick, and I realized that this was about the same size, this curve and everything like that. So just took a marker, if I could hold it steady, and trace around where that weed guard goes. My industrial shears. And trace that line. Okay, so now we have a regular piece of cutoff popsicle stick. Slide that in so that it matches where the hook was, right? Sticking out like that, if that makes sense. And I've already got one prepped and ready to go, and I'll show you how that goes in the mold. But the other parts that we need for this mission are your box of these little leg pieces. And what do you mean by that? Well, when you purchase your kids or yourself a pair of shoes, sometimes they come on something like this. And these little bits here make excellent little curly cues for rubber worms, plastic worms, and stuff like that. So I have saved a bunch. I know that surprises everybody that I've cut them off and that I use them for molds here. So this is what I used on that last one. I put these guys up here on the arms, and then I put these two guys down here at the legs. I guess legs or arms, I don't know exactly, and that's how I formed our creature. And it was pretty much just that simple. I have other options here that I could use. These are some 3D printed baits that I have from the past that didn't do exactly what I wanted, but this one actually had nice little flippers on it, and I cut one of those up and got those flippers off of it, and you could use those like that, like so, on there. So, but you can save those kind of things, and you can make all sorts of handy dandy different kinds of molds. So we need our mold box, made in America. Now this is kind of a big mold box for this project, made in America. But the reason being is because this thing all spread out like that does take up a lot of space. You can of course make your mold boxes whatever size you want to fit your projects here. I just have a couple different sizes that I use because plaster of Paris is inexpensive enough even for me to just go ahead and use the 2 different sizes. So we'll set that up how we want. I had used a bigger piece of plastic for a larger sprue that I don't think I'd need looking back on it. So we'll probably just go with our old reliable here. We can stick that in it in our mold box. Put those legs there and that leg there. And there we go. We got plenty of room. Okay, so we got our project set up. We'll take these away. I am going to use these smaller fins this time, or thinner fins, I guess. See if I can get a little more action than I did with these guys right here. They didn't move much, but sometimes that's okay. But just want to try 2 different things while I'm making 2 different molds to see if I get a better result with one over the other. So let's get these pieces out of the way and get our mold prep. Now let's mix up our friend DAP Plaster of Paris. Okay, so the viewers suggest the paintbrush to get rid of these bubbles, and they are right. This works excellently. I have been on the first half of these molds, go inside please, trying to let them set up a little bit more before I push the pieces in. They tend to not move around as much. It's a lot harder on the other side to do that, obviously, but let's get going with this guy. So we're going to put our sprue just right at the end here. Probably want to put that 90 degrees there, regular guy. Terrible job. Terrible job. There we go. Much better. Okay. So get that in. We'll put these little legs in right here. Man, I am really doing poor at the operation game today. Okay, there we go.
You're doing great.
There's that. And our last little legs here. Right there. And this guy's got to be inversed. And we'll put him right there. Just going to press that in. That's what's nice about it when it's a little harder. You can make a nicer impression with it. There we go, just like that. Okay. So we need our some marbles in it. Our mold locators. Right about there is going to look just fine. Okay. Now let's let that set up, and then we'll do the other side. Okay, guys, so this side of our mold is set up. So let's remove our locators, just like we always do here. For my returning viewers, it's probably getting old, I guess. So I may have messed this up. I put this in upside down, and I meant to put it in the other way with the tab up, because I wanted to lubricate it so that it wouldn't stick to our plaster here. So I don't know if this is gonna, I don't know, maybe I should just leave it be and see what happens after the fact. I'm kind of thinking I need to take it out now. Okay, so yep. We may have messed this up. Hopefully you can't hear my regular assistants having a rowdy disagreement in the other room. Okay, this is going to be problematic, I see. I think we're going to be able to make this work after we get it done. We're going to have to do some fancy footwork here, though, folks. We may have flummoxed up this whole mold. We'll see. Okay, through the magic of memory, I guess, I remembered that earlier I had made this one that I was going to show you guys. So we're going to employ that this time, and we're going to stick it in there, and we are going to coat it liberally with our petroleum jelly so that the plaster doesn't stick to it. Okay, it's time for round 2 of our star of the show, plaster of Paris. Okay, I'm trying to pour a thin skim coat of this. One of my last videos, one of the new viewers, or a new commenter, commented about that, and I tried it, and it worked. So yes, the skim coat helped get the bubbles off, or keep the bubbles off that side of it. And this one's going to require considerable more to get over that. That's pretty tall. Our mold is full. These bubbles should only be on this side now, or rather this top layer of this. Now we just got to let it dry and check back in when it's all done. Okay, good morning, regular viewers. So our mold is set up, but I did want to show you something real quick before I did the great unboxing, everyone's favorite part. At least I hope so. Nobody's told me it is, but it's mine. Anyway, so at some point, all these molds become bricks, right? And then you have a big stack of bricks, and you can't distinguish them. So I label them like this. I take the Mold Master and just spray paint on it real quick. This one I wrote Super Shad on it because it was like fun to say. But that way I can find them a little more easily. This is the first prototype I made of this mold right here. You know, put that little outline on there, and yeah, I just spray painted one of the soft plastics I poured with it, the first one I made, just as a you know, again, just to use as a template. This paint, by the way, is not going to stick to your soft plastic. You can use it like that, but it's going to come off real fast, and it's going to come off all over your hand. So yeah, but anyway, makes a great way to label these things real fast, so that again, you don't just have a bunch of white bricks laying around your garage. So let's get this unboxed and open and ready to pour. Aha, that worked. Get this off to the side. By the way, our mold, made in America. There we go. Not too bad, okay. Again, this is a space waster, but you know, I wanted to try it out, so it's okay. I don't have an appropriate size mold box that would fit this shape that was that wide and that deep, so I guess I need to make one of those. But again, trash to treasure here, these little bits of junk to make this bait. Let's get it out of the mold. So this little piece right here is probably permanently embedded in this guy. I didn't think to lubricate that, but little bits of wood in plaster really need to be either coated in something or lubricated, because they're so porous that plaster will get right in there. I might try to pick at this later to try to pull it out of there, but I don't think it's going to happen. It'll be okay though. With our new friend cooking spray, I think it'll be just fine. Now this one should pull out on this side because I slathered the heck out of it. Should being the operative word in that sentence. Mostly, okay. I don't know why it worked so well the first time. Okay, we'll work on that and get back with you. But these need to dry a little bit so we can carve on them a little bit more. And what I say when I say carve on them is because to get plastic around this when we're pouring our mold, you need to kind of hone out this area here, because this is to the exact size of this guy and we need to make it a little wider. But that's fun because then you can get the creative juices flowing and come up with whatever design you want to make. If you want to make it really like bug shaped, you can, you know, try to put in some like, you know, crawfish segmenty looking stuff, that kind of thing. So anyway, we're going to let these dry and I'll get back with you when it's ready to go. Okay, regular viewers. So we are demolded, as you saw. These have dried. I actually put them over on the, which you can't see, but it's over there, I promise. The griddle, just to kind of help dry them a little faster. Helps get the moisture out. But you know, so here's the screw up. This piece I couldn't get out because I didn't lubricate it properly. This one I did get mostly out, even though I did lubricate it properly. I don't know what the problem there. The prototype had no problems with that at all. But now we have to do the carving here. So we'll probably have a musical musical, I don't know what that was all about, interlude while I get busy carving on this, and I'll get out my regular carving tools that I use. So and I'll just point out what I got to do. Again, this area here, because of the size of the bobber cork, float, whatever that we used, you know, fits it exactly. We need it bigger than that, obviously, so that there's enough room so it can get surrounded with plastisol. And again, this is the fun part. We're going to get to be a little creative and try to make a little pattern in here as we carve it out. And as we carve on it, you know, this piece of the popsicle stick will come out some more. So if the regular editor would please cue the music, I'll get busy. All right, guys, so we have this mostly done. Let me show you what I did. So these two fins right here, I cut in a slot that when it's done is going to collect or catch water to help these flap a little better. These are nice flat thin fins, very similar, reminiscent to like a Kalin's grub, if you remember those. And I put these channels on the side so that it would have rings of plastisol around this, hopefully. I found that on the other one that I did, it flowed well like on one side, but it kind of pressed it to the other. But because I was able to carve it, I was able to, you know, kind of band it in plastisol. I am trying to excavate out this little piece of popsicle stick here, so but I won't subject you to the rest of that. I'm going to continue working on these, and I'll get back with you and show you what happened. Okay, so I think we've got this carved out enough. It is going to have like a ridge on the back here because of, you know, taking this piece out, but that'll be okay. If I like it, we'll leave it like a little rudder, I guess, or a fin maybe. You know, like a crawfish with a fin on its back. I guess that's not a thing. But anyway, joking aside, this guy fits down here quite nicely. That weed guard makes it pop up a little bit, but once the mold is on it, it's no problem at all. And if you can see down there, we've got a channel on this side and a channel on that side and on the sides for plastisol to flow through. So it'll go around it. And hopefully, if all goes well, it should encompass it nicely. But again, it's just this float with the weedless hook, you know, put through the middle of it, and that's the interior of this right here. So again, we're going to have a bait that is molded around this, and a weedless hook that's embedded in it. So it'll be a suspending lure with a float on it. So again, that's how it's going to look in the mold. You press it in there, it holds in place. And then we're just going to pour our regular deal with our plunger down in it, and that is that. And we'll shoot for the moon, I guess. So plastisol is heating up. Let's see what we've got. And if I had my tools prepared like a professional, then we'd be off to a much better start. Okay, that stuff is pretty much ready. I'm going to give it just a few more seconds while I clamp these dogs up. Oh, you know what I forgot? I almost screwed up live and on camera. I forgot our new mold release, the cooking spray. Use a good amount on there because I don't want this to stick in the mold. That's probably too much, but I really don't want it to stick. Okay, stick that guy in there. Bad use of the word stick. Okay, shut this up before you overcook it. Whew. Good stuff. Okay. Might have had some tragedy with that mold there. but we'll make it work. Okay, I'm gonna let that cool and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're gonna open this mold, but it did crack here because I screwed up when I made the mold by putting that piece the wrong side down. So that was that representative of the hook that was in the float there was too close to the edge of this, if that makes sense, right in the middle here. So there really wasn't enough beef. When I pressurized it with the plunger, it cracked it. So let's open this up. Like,
that was very disappointing.
Well, these things happen, but we can make it work because these molds are very forgiving.
Oh my word.
Okay, we got a lot of flashing because of that, but it looks like we have a product maybe that we can use here.
Why is there styrofoam in it?
Because that's the whole point of this mission there, but great question. Okay, so in this pile of plastic mess that nobody else on YouTube would probably ever show you is the lure that we were trying to make. We're going to cut it out and I will show you what we got. Okay, regular viewers, so here is the ugliest bait on YouTube. This is the floating Carolina Rig creature bait. And so after coming out of the mold, you know, it really doesn't look much better. But this is, I guess I forgot to trim this little edge right here. Not that that makes a huge difference. But, you know, got to do what we got to do. So I'm trying to make it look as presentable as possible for, you know, being as ugly as it is. But this side came out pretty neat, very creature-esque, and our arms are, you know, where they're supposed to be, and they came out pretty nice. So I'm happy with that. The hook sank down a little bit, but it's still quite usable. It'll be just like a weedless lure when that gets bit down. But other than that, I mean, our float is encompassed. So this one came out. Can we use this mold again? Thank you for asking. I'm sure that was right on the tip of everybody's tongue. We can, but I will need to fix it. So as you can see, that part that went down into here, so thin that it really didn't have much of a backbone. So another regular viewer had told me, you know, I can add like rebar basically to these molds. And this one, I haven't had much of a problem with that. This one wouldn't have been terrible to have done that with. So, but I do have the other mold that I made, the original, that we can continue to pour a few more of these and, you know, and still have success. So, all in all, interesting little project. And I'll have to take these guys fishing and show you what we can catch with them, if anything. So, I'm going to pour a few more and I'll show you what we get. Okay, so I just re-poured the original mold, one that's not broken, and here's the difference. This is a relatively low flashing mold, I would say. We have a little bit just right there, but other than that, we have the sprue that's forever long, just because I wanted to try it out. And this little bit right here, which we can just kind of, well, I guess I could appropriately use a pair of scissors, just so that those guys stay nice and flappy. The appropriate amount of flappage, which if it's not a term of measurement, it should be. We should have a flappage scale for fishing lures. Maybe I should cut this sprue off too. Just kind of cut around where the hook is, or where the eye to the hook is. Pull up the weed guard, and whammo. There is our weedless, suspending, ugly, scary maybe, creature bait that is banded all the way around with an encompassed bobber or float in it so that it will float. And that's what it was supposed to look like had I done it right on the the one I demonstrated for you. But this was made using the same techniques, I promise, because I wouldn't lie about something this ugly. Okay, let's open our other one. The yeah, feels like it's ready. So the mold of many clamps. I have no clue if this was a win or a fail, but we're going to show you here live and in person. I guess this is like the revolution will be televised. This was the unboxing will be televised. Okay, we are going to have some flashing because it's coming out right there. But I think that's going to continue to happen because this crack is going to expand every single time. Ta-da! Not as much flashing. A little bit better bait. Okay. Very ugly. It's definitely like an 11 on the out of 10 ugly scale. Okay. 10 being the most ugly. But I think we're getting it. So this just needs to be trimmed up a little bit, a lot less bit than the last one. But I think you can already see where we're going with that. Okay, I'm going to trim this guy up a little bit and I'll show you what we get. So here they are. Maybe this is one of those, it seemed like a good idea at the time, but they're ugly. I'm not going to deny that. They are not visually pleasing, but some of the stuff fish eat is not visually pleasing. But I think we can make it a little nicer. I did notice one thing here. This mold, because the sprue is so close, I think this plastic is really hot when it's injecting right into this bobber here, and it's kind of messing with the weed guard, which is just held on by a little tab of plastic. So that might require some super glue. This one, I never had that problem with all the ones I poured, and I think because that sprue is so much longer, it's actually cool enough that it's not really affecting it by the time it gets there. So that was an interesting design flaw. But I think you could do some stuff to this to be a little more creative. If we go in our bucket of bobbers here, I wanted to try and, make one like put some sparkles on it because I love doing that kind of stuff. And then maybe some different colors. I got a June buggy. Well, when I say June bug, it's kind of purplish blue. It's really, if I say June bug, that's like a real color that everybody's familiar with. This is probably not even close to it, but I think we can try a couple of that. So I'll try to pour some nicer looking ones. It's going to be really interesting to see for my next trick how I get a picture of this garbage for a thumbnail. That'll be the real trick right there. If this video gets more than 6 views, I'll be I'll be happy, I guess. So anyway, we'll be back. I'll try to show you if I can come up with anything worth your time. All right. Okay, regular viewers, we've made it to the end of this this video. I'm going to call it a disaster. Well, we did achieve our goal. I did create a floating or suspending Carolina rig creature bait. And this one came out the nicest. This is a color I like. This is not June bug, because June bug is a very specific color. This is my sort of version of that. But I like that it was light enough that I can see the bobber through it there. So, but it's weedless. It's got its little weedy guard there. It's got its legs. The other two that I made, this one got a short leg on it, and this one got a little stubby arm on it. But they'll still work. In fact, I totally forgot to trim off the excess for that weed guard, but that's okay. These ones came out okay as well. They're going to function. They're ugly. They got that going for them. They definitely are very bug-like. Ugly as sin color here. But they'll work. But the reason I said this is probably not my best work, so we got to do a what we're going to call for the first time a mold topsy. And what is that? Well, thank you for asking. A mold topsy is to see where we went wrong with these molds, because as I was even working this one cracked as well. But not only that, it cracked up here at the top where our plunger or injector goes in, which means that we couldn't get a seal around here. So it was very hard to even pour that after the fact, because the plastisol was just flowing out right there. I tried to plug it with a piece of plastisol, and it just wasn't happening. So this mold is done for. I mean, I could glue it in, but the design flaw was that this is too deep down in here for the amount of pressure that you have to put in this mold to create this lure to pass through all those points there. This side was much thicker. Was appropriately thick apparently, so we didn't have the problem cracking on this side, even though that goes way down in there. We had no issues over here, but it did crack on this side on this one. So that's our prognosis and diagnosis of death of this guy, I would imagine. And I would think through our training and experience now that this one probably suffered the same fate. Again, you can see this is way too shallow here. When we pressurized this mold, it cracked. Now, what would have stopped this? One of the regular viewers, like I said, already told me, you can put stuff in here like a rebar. That probably would have saved this guy's life. But again, this was like a prototype thingy, so it's a good lesson for next time. What we did learn, though, because we're always failing forward, I guess, that's one of those phrases people like to say, that this cooking spray here, it probably doesn't have to be Pam. It could probably just be generic, which if I had a choice, I would buy that. But that definitely works as a great mold release. A permanent mold release, of course, you can always apply one, and I always like that, is polyurethane. And now why am I putting these in my hand? In the process of making the lures that I was failing at, I did make my beautiful custom backwards twin tails that are just near and dear to my little fishing heart. Yeah, I'll turn this one over, so hopefully you won't see that this one kind of got a little messed up right there. But I don't think the bass will notice. In fact, I know they won't notice. So despite failing on this pile of junk over here, this pile of ugliness, I was able to, with the little that was left in the injector, make 3 usable twin tails in one of my favorite colors. So that was a win. This wasn't a fail, though. So we can do it. We could tweak it. We could make different shapes. We could make different fish there. I was thinking about it just the other day. We could make like a stick bait, a Cinco thingy. You could make like a paddle tail there. Or you could just go back to the Carolina rig that's worked for hundreds of years and hasn't failed us yet. So again, did I try to solve a problem that wasn't there? I don't know, maybe. But that's half the fun of this, guys, is experimenting, because we'll never move the industry forward if we just keep doing what we were doing before. So like I said, kind of mixed emotions about how this one came out. I'm going to use these. If I catch anything on them, I will. If I get it in front of the right fish, of course. If I have that opportunity, these will definitely catch fish. So I'll share those photographs with you, and maybe some video or whatnot as well. But if you have questions, comments, concerns, like why are you bothering, why are you doing this, why are you subjecting us to this garbage, that kind of stuff, feel free to leave it down in the comments. Any other sort of questions or comments or anything like that, absolutely, I'll try to get back to you in a timely fashion. I mean, I did like how that came out there, guys. That was what I was looking for, this kind of band of plastics all around there. I think there's potential for this bait. I just didn't quite get the results I wanted today. But I guess, Edison, I think, made a couple thousand or 1,000 versions of the light bulb before he got one that worked. So, anywho, that's all I have. Thank you so much for the support. Like I said, approaching 500 subscribers. Apparently that means something special. I'm excited. And if I don't see you between now and then, have a very Merry Christmas and stay regular.
Don't forget.
Hey, what are you kids doing?